Bienvenidos a Izaosa, una empresa comprometida con la nutrición de los campos mexicanos. Desde nuestra fundación en 1996, el reconocer la labor de los productores y la dedicación que invierten a sus campos ha sido el motor que nos ha impulsado a innovar y seguir creciendo día con día. Actualmente contamos con 4 bodegas de distribución para atender a todo el país, localizados en los puertos de Altamira, Tampico, Manzanillo y Topolobampo. Nuestra infraestructura de primer nivel nos permite una óptima recepción, manejo, envasado, distribución y almacenaje de nuestros productos. Hoy queremos presentarte nuestra bodega Manzanillo, la cual cuenta con una mezcladora de flujo continuo, única en el país con capacidad de producción para mezclar 300 toneladas por hora. Todo inicia con la fórmula personalizada del fertilizante, creada por nuestro equipo de ingenieros altamente capacitados, quienes brindan sus conocimientos técnicos para obtener un producto que nutre las necesidades específicas de cada cultivo. Gracias a nuestra capacidad instalada y tecnología disponible, somos capaces de producir mezclas que pueden variar de un solo producto hasta 16 diferentes. Perfectamente pesadas y almacenadas bajo condiciones ideales en uno de nuestros 4 silos con capacidad de 70 toneladas cada uno. Además de contar con un excelente equipo de trabajo que se encuentra comprometido con los valores y la calidad que distingue a Izaosa, contamos también con inversión tecnológica para eficientar nuestra labor. Básculas envasadoras, robots colocadores de sacos, cocedoras manuales y automatizadas, bandas transportadoras, sistema de carga. Todo dentro de nuestras instalaciones certificadas. Las mezclas de valor agregado son mezcladas y envasadas al momento de la carga del camión. Con esto garantizamos el contenido de una mezcla homogénea y en perfectas condiciones. En nuestra planta, nuestro objetivo es que el tiempo de carga de camiones a granel no exceda de 20 minutos y en los camiones para carga de envasado no sea mayor a 1 hora. Asimismo, nuestro centro de operaciones controla en todo momento el ingreso y salida del producto hasta nuestros distribuidores, ofreciendo para ti valor agregado en cada embarque. Todo el esfuerzo de cada uno de los colaboradores Izaosa y la motivación de ser mejores cada día es porque creemos que la ardua labor del productor merece ser recompensada. Así que cuando creamos un sistema de nutrición integral, sabemos que no solo estamos ayudando al crecimiento del cultivo para maximizar su rentabilidad, sino que estamos trabajando de la mano con nuestros distribuidores y el productor para hacer crecer sus sueños y los de su familia. En Izaosa, juntos, creamos valor.
Buenos días, goedemiddag and good day. It is a pleasure to see you all again for the second day of the Mexico-Netherlands Matchmaking Program organized by UPM and Holland House Mexico. For those of you who were not with us today, my name is Karin Fabre, Manager of Holland House Mexico, the Dutch-Mexican Chamber of Commerce. We hope you had a very fruitful morning and afternoon yesterday and were able to make a lot of interesting new acquaintances with possible business partners. We did receive some reports from you of having trouble finding your meeting partner during the morning or afternoon yesterday. So if you had any trouble there, please make sure to let us know and we will try to reschedule your appointment later in the next few days. Just like yesterday, please note that this meeting is being recorded, and all participants will receive a link upon conclusion of the event, together with all of the presentations that we will be seeing today. Secondly, it's not possible to ask direct questions to our speakers, but you can interact with other participants on the BRELA platform if you go to the stream page within the platform. So I'd like to take a quick look at today's agenda. We have some very interesting speakers with us today. First of all, we will be listening to Astrid Astillon about how to increase sales to Europe. Then we will be speaking about how to create a competitive advantage in Europe by Jorge Narváez, the General Director at AGRI, the Centro de Estrategia Agroalimentaria, and Lia Weinsdorp, the Managing Director from UPM. Then afterwards, we will be listening to a message from Liquid Seal, and in continuation, a very interesting presentation by Koen van Iwaarden, the Senior Advisor Sustainable Business at Nature's Pride, who will be sharing the sourcing trends, particularly within Europe, with us. At around 10 o'clock, a little bit afterwards, we will then be opening again the matchmaking sessions. Some of you surely already had some appointments in the morning, and we hope that you will have very productive meetings, and that a lot of business will be generated from there. So for now, I would like to introduce Astrid Astillon, who will be speaking about how to increase sales to Europe.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And also what I'm going to expose here today is going to be of the use of so many explorers in Mexico which have decided to expand their business or to make new business in Europe. All this because naturally for Mexico, for the natural market is the USA, and you have all sorted out over there. So let's say that the business was working very good with you over there. But if there is something that the recent history has taught us is that we can not put all our eggs in the same basket, like we say in my country. So certainly to search for new markets, it has some challenges. Europe is a very dynamic and mature market. It is a market that is especially open for some of our producing in Latin America. I said this in Latin America myself, from Costa Rica. So just to talk a little bit about myself and why I have been invited to this conference, where I'm an expert in fresh produce. I have devoted the last 15 years of my life to trade between Latin America and Europe. So I can talk a little bit about, of course, what are the challenges of coming to sell over here. First of all, a little bit of background. There is not a presentation, but as you all know, the COVID crisis made the market extremely difficult at the beginning for some produce, but it tends to stabilize lately. So at the beginning, we have all that rush that was going on with people buying only, let's say, first need produce, and then there was all that joke of the toilet paper, and a lot of the stuff was going on. Lot of movement in citrus, lot of movement in bananas, lots of movement in first need produce, which is, the basics here, potatoes, apples. And then
I'm sorry, Astrid, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have some problems hearing you because of your microphone. Could you see if you could get a little bit closer?
Yes, hello? Is it better now?
A little bit, maybe a little adjustment more.
Okay, I cannot make it louder right now. Is it better?
I haven't heard yet.
Okay, I'm going to start again to see. Sometimes so. Hello?
It's still very low, so perhaps you could just speak a little up a little bit.
Okay, perfect. So I will try to do that. Yeah, I was talking about what the COVID crisis has taught us is that we have to be prepared for the unexpected. The first response of consumers was then to buy very basic products like, bananas, apples, citrus, because it was good for the flu. And back then we had a lot of misinformation of what was going on. Then all the tropical produce had a very big impact over there. Which means that the prices were very low. There were produce like mangoes, like avocados that were really being quoted the first times of this crisis for very, very low prices. So yeah, and then there came with more COVID information, there came well to the knowledge that it was better to have a more balanced diet. So at the moment there is big demand of certain produce which are well known for the health benefits. So to start, well, first than anything, it is very important that you monitor that when you're starting in a new market, you have all the basics. What are the basics? Of course, as you are seeing in the presentation right now, it is very important to comply with all the requirements, everything that is phytosanitary, quality specifications, and of course the certificates. You need to have a very good idea of the volume that can be offered, your growth potential, all the forecasts over production, shortages, etc. You have to monitor the prices of the market and keep a record of the prices paid throughout the season, not only for the European market or for the USA market, but for the different markets that you may have access to. And of course, it is very good idea to keep updated about all the events, the forecast, as I was saying. And this is very important. Why? Because Europe, it is not a market that pays incredibly expensive prices. Sometimes the volume makes it very interesting, but the margins can be in some moments of the season paper thin. So it is very important that you are sure that you don't have mistakes that will go against your margins in the future. So next slide, please. Yeah, okay. So those are the usual channels to export to Europe. We have, of course, the importers as a first line, which can be also sometimes service providers as well. The importers that sell to supermarkets, they can have some ripening or repacking partners, or sometimes the supermarket has that in their contract too. And then there is the wholesale sector, which also importers sell. It is very uncommon to sell directly to wholesalers and to cash and carry. These are mostly the sectors that serve, let's say, to food shops, to open markets, to restaurants, and of course, the last trend that is the online meal boxes. And there is naturally the processor sector as well. That is the sector that buys produce to be frozen, to be made in concentrate sometimes, or the ready-to-eat fruit that is just chopped and put in small containers to be sold in supermarkets as well. So in all these sectors, still there is some chance for improving or for making up new channels, but it will be complicated that an exporter will go directly to sell to a supermarket. So that's why we are talking about the challenges of this. There are, of course, companies here in the Netherlands. I have seen that they are also a speaker in this. There is Nature's Pride, which is a very large company that covers a lot of at least 2 or 3 of these sectors that we're talking about. So, of course, there are different, let's say, formulas in this. So to importer sector, it is very important that you take in consideration that many will request you open prices, which means that you may have an uncertain return, talking about price. Why is that? Because they are buying a product that will be arriving between 2 or 3 weeks. So that means that meanwhile those 2 or 3 weeks happen, there can be some so to say, event in the market, or a shortage, or a very big increase of imports of certain products. So the prices may go down, and if they have negotiated a price with you, and at the moment that it arrives here, the prices in the market are completely different, they are going to lose money. So in this sector, it is very well known for, they want to have some flexibility with price. It's very important to make, of course, a clear agreement about the program. How is it going to work with the orders? Is it going to be a program, a regular program? Is it going to be spot business? Is it going to be for the season, for some part of the season? Is it going to be weekly? How are you going to work? And of course, some have naturally, I'm not talking, of course, for everybody, but it has been sometimes a practice that some will transfer the effect of the low prices as quality complaints to be absorbed for the exporters. So it is important that when you're starting to export to a new destination, that you have some sort of backup in case of, there is coming a very big complaint in terms of quality, that you have someone that a surveyor or a kind of partnership that will allow you to vouch for that claim, to know if it is a legit claim, and that will be also for many of the other sectors as well. So coming slide, please. Next. Yeah, there you go. So the wholesale exports, they are characterized for sale on spot. So they will buy when something is scarce, or when they are having a big demand of something. So it is going to be also the prices tend to be set by transaction. So they will not, in most of the times, only commit to so to say, a fixed price for the duration of the transaction that you're going to have. That makes it also that it's difficult to make businesses with them in a sustainable way, because they are based in price, and let's say added value market is usually not the case for wholesalers. They are extremely sensitive to market price changes. So that means that if anything happens, you're going to know about it. There is a lot of some products, then the prices will plummet, and then you will see that it has an effect on your deal. Okay. Then the next, please, the next slide. We can go to the next one now. Okay, processing. So the prices of the processing sector, they tend to be low in general. And that is of course, very understandable from the point of view that they have to go into more cost to process. So to make it, let's say, to buy fruit that has very high value, plus adding the value of having to transfer the product, that will make it not accessible for the consumer. They have very, can we go back, please? I'm still in the processing sector. Hello? Yes, okay, that's good. They have very specific needs also in terms of sizes and in terms of ripeness. So it is very important that you are sure that when you are selling to processing sector, that you comply with those parts, and also the tolerance of defects. Of course, it is very limited, and because they have very strict quality specification, it can be a very little too difficult sometimes to sell directly to them, though it can happen. And then finally, the retail sector is the supermarkets, of course, to access directly. It is, it is sometimes a very long shot for an exporter, depending on your volumes and your size and who you are. It can be a little bit difficult to access over there. Why? Because many will require annual programs. That means that they are going to need to be offered fruit from different origins to cover all their needs. But that is not, it's not in all the cases. So some will make a deal for a season of a specific product. They are aggressive in prices naturally, but okay, also the shorter the chain, then the more profit for the exporter naturally. They have sometimes also, that is very important to check the conditions of the supermarket, because they can have complex and, as I said here, sometimes arbitrary conditions. Decrease in volume, for instance, they are going to say to you, okay, you know, we have negotiated 10 containers, but we are going to need only 3. And then you need to figure out what to do with the rest of the volume that was negotiated. The payment methods, of course, that is a big thing with the supermarket. Payment methods can be 30, 60, even 90 days of arrival. So you need to be sure that you have the muscle to stand for this payment terms. And then, of course, the penalties for non-compliance and contributions that they may ask for promotion and marketing purposes. That is mostly the end of my presentation. You can see here a little bit of the service that I can deliver to exporters. You know, if somebody needs a linking person here to have more clients, or to reach out to in case of complaints by customers, etc. I am here to serve you for the shipments that are arriving in the Netherlands or Belgium, basically.
Thank you very much, Astrid, for your valuable presentation. We had a lot of problem hearing you, unfortunately, so I hope that people who do have questions for you will reach out to you. Here's your email address as well, and otherwise we have your details for anybody else interested. Thanks again, Astrid. Thereby, I would like to introduce our next speakers, Jorge Narváez and Lia Bijnsdorp.
Okay, good morning to everybody. I am trying to start my video, but it's not quite there. Yes, now it is. Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, Jorge. Nice to see everybody who's here. Nice to have as many participants as we've had yesterday and today. There's been a lot of appointments made. So, but anyway, let me start this, and we're going to talk now about how can you create a competitive advantage in Europe in the fruit market. Next. So what I will do today is, next please, is give you just a couple of simple tips of that we have seen that sometimes it's necessary to keep it in mind. So when you start working with the European market, it's a different market than Asia, it's a different market in the US. So it's very important to be prepared before your customers ask you. So be prepared about the market, know how your product, where your product lays in the price ranges, make sure you have all the market requirements. So especially social certifications and are getting to be every time more important, not for all importers, but for many it is. And also find out about new clients you want to contact before you get in touch with them. So you have the information, what kind of products they buy, what they need, and how in general also it's both for exporters as for importers. It's very good to learn more about your next contact before you start sitting down on the table. Next, please. And then several recommendations, basically. Be very formal because it talks about your company. You know? So especially after 5 years, when you're good friends with your client or with your exporter, then it's important. Then everything that you can have a nice friendship with. But especially in the beginning, it's very important to keep in mind to be formal. And part of that being formal, what we see a lot is that people use WhatsApp even for, okay, send me 2 containers, or, you know, so that's not a formal agreement with a customer. So for exporters, basically for everybody, be very formal and use email for your formal quotations and everything that needs to be formal. So also let your customers know who your company is, your certifications. It's good to have it on your website. The first thing usually a buyer does, or an importer also does, or an exporter does, is look on internet and see if what your website tells about you. So be sure it's always current. Make a contract between each other, with importer with exporter, exporter with importer, so everybody has the same understanding of what is agreed to. So that is something that we see often that doesn't happen. It's an email confirmation. So just make sure that that formal part of closing an agreement with the customers is always in place. So also let your customer know that you always use an independent surveyor on arrival, and also I recommend you that you do an independent quality inspection before shipping, because that will give you a quality report before and a quality report after, and that works better for everybody. The buyer knows in advance what your fruit is going to look like, and vice versa. So everybody basically has more tools to work with. Next, please. And also, it's good to be on social media. Now, I see, for example, on LinkedIn, most importers are active members. They also put their information on there, what is they're currently working with. Exporters also that are letting the public or their contacts in different media knowing where they are in the part of the season, if they're finished, if they're just starting, the product and everything else that needs to go with it. So it's very good. It basically keeps you in the customer's mind. So also what we just told is make sure that your website is actualized, and that it's very easy for customers also, or for exporters, for importers, and importers for exporters to learn to know each other, to get to know each other by the website. Basically, it's your first impression. It's your business card. So also it's good to have basically a 1 minute or 2 minute fact sheet about your company with the major details of what it is that you're offering, and be in contact. Be in contact with your customers. Always send them your latest offers to your customers by email, so they always know where you are. So that's very important. And then as a last point, in the next slide, please. How can you exceed your customers' expectations, impress your customer? So just the main thing to gain trust is to be open and transparent. Always be there for questions that customers may have. That's basically the only way you can gain trust. So, and also if you have something that you cannot comply with, or something you agreed with, that has to do with weather conditions, with shipping conditions, with COVID conditions, just let your customer know. Always be in contact and be open and transparent. And especially if there's a problem, you have to be double transparent, because that speaks for your company. So always, so that's basically having a professional attitude. Even if you're not in your season, or you're preparing your season, schedule regular calls with your customers. Schedule a Zoom call and Google Meet call, whatever, and be in touch with them. So, and a very important thing also is be prepared for claims. Which is, we're in the fresh fruit market. So that is a very common happening. And also make sure that whenever you start, as part of your contract, let your customer know, let your importer know what your claim policy is. And also from the importer to the exporter, just be prepared. Everybody just have things as clear as possible, and that's going to make for long-lasting business relations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Karin, for the invitation of this matchmaking program of Holland House Mexico to create a competitive advantage in Europe. I would like to introduce this brief presentation in order to facilitate and guide the exporters and importers. So We are presenting this this Centro de Estrategia Alimentaria, strategic agri-food strategic center, to focus on the professionalizing the processes and business models of the clients to the agri-food sector, and also to establishment the authentic and reliable connections. We have more than 20 years of international experience. We are shared our knowledge through specialized advices and strategic planning in business consulting and design of investment projects to develop and amplify the agri-food sector. And in complement with the Leah have said, next slide, please. We are coordinated agenda between Agri and UPM, focused on managing the agri-food compliance so that Mexican companies and transparent and meet the requirements in the international markets, of course, and the international customers through an executive, strategic, and tactical methodology that we are creating to facilitate and guide the exporters and importers, as we said before. Next slide, next please. Okay, these points are so important for everyone in order to professionalize services and processes in the supply chain. So we are focused in the agri-food compliance. The agri-food compliance, international agri-food compliance is so important for everyone and each part of the supply chain in the exporters. So, of course, the target market requirements, we are focusing that, our requirements, each market of Europe, America, and Asia needs to export and to give the facilities of that. Of course, the export standards, we have all the schedule of the export standards in order to have the best quality control as an expert and prepare the companies to the export ready. And also, we are involved in the integral logistic processes that we need to offer for the customers and clients in this kind of processes. Next slide, please. In the supply chain, it is necessary to consider an integral agri-food logistic. So most of the companies are not specialized in how the integral agri-food logistic is. So we offer this kind of services in order to have the international transport ready, of course. We are managing the cold chain, which is an important part for export in the agri-food sector, with the companion of certifications, traceability, and regulatory compliance that we are offered in all this chain and all the process that we need to comply in this kind of exports. And as you know, the COVID-19 pandemic have evidenced the distortion in the agri-food supply chain, and we need to reconfigure it to meet market, the needs and requirements of the market and the customers, of course. And this is a kind of quality audit that we are facilitating to the customers. And the competitive advantages that we see in this process and this invitation for share with all the participants in this matchmaking program is how is and what is the market requirements that we need to accomplish. That is, what is the quality control that we are in for of, and also the processes, the products, and the packaging that is ready to do. And also, it's so important, and not too many companies realize that the financial planning is so important to create value and to create competitive advantages, to get the services and to get the facilities for the customers in the market. And also work with reliable experts. We have a platform of experts in these areas that we share with you, and we are putting on the table for these facilitators. And also, we are experts in develop a short, medium, and long-term strategy in order to do these agreements and coordinate efforts through all the agri-food supply chain. So that is this coordination with Leah are so important because so many companies and exporters are asking about how they can simplify their processes of export to Europe. So we are in agreement, and we are ready to do this kind of competitive advantage for you and for your company. And also, we are part of the agri-food supply chain. Thank you very much for the time and for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jorge, and also thank you very much to you, Leah. Very interesting what you were sharing with us today, and I'm sure that many of the participants will be in touch with you in order to make sure that they are ready for export. Thank you.
De wereldbevolking groeit. We weten allemaal dat we minder voedsel tot onze beschikking krijgen, omdat we een schaarste hebben aan vruchtbare grond. Als je die efficiënter kan inzetten, doordat de producten die daarop worden geproduceerd ook die eindbestemming gaan halen, dan denk ik dat dat een hele goede zaak is voor de wereldbevolking. Wij hebben een vloeistof ontwikkeld uit biologisch afbreekbare polymeren. En je kan fruit daarin dompelen, of je kan dat sprayen, en er vormt zich dan een heel dun filmlaagje. En dat kan je zien als een extra bescherming, een verpakking. En daardoor kunnen we de houdbaarheid aanzienlijk verlengen. De houdbaarheid die je kan realiseren extra kan zomaar 5 of 7 dagen zijn. Het filmlaagje wat gevormd wordt, dat heeft een kanaalstructuur. En die kanaalstructuur, daardoor kunnen wij de zuurstof die naar het product toe gaat beïnvloeden. En als je daarop invloed kan uitoefenen, kan je de houdbaarheid verlengen. Het is composteerbaar. Dat betekent dat je het weg kan gooien met de schil zelf. Ook op het moment dat je het eet, zal dat niet tot schadelijkheid leiden. Als je in Thailand ziet dat 60% van de mangoproductie de eindbestemming niet bereikt. We zetten dus 60% van die vruchtbare grond in met de wetenschap dat we het eigenlijk al weggooien. We kunnen dat zomaar terugdringen tot onder de 20% bijvoorbeeld. We zijn gestart in de rozen, maar we hebben uiteindelijk ook de stap gemaakt naar het fruit. En dat is wat we hier aan het testen zijn. We kijken steeds naar verbeteringen van ons product om de houdbaarheid nog meer te verlengen. Met ons product realiseer je dus minder afval. We zetten vruchtbare grond efficiënter in. En dat betekent dat we miljoenen monden extra kunnen voeden.
Liquid Seal for Fruits, the post-harvest solution for fruits. Liquid Seal is an award-winning company. Liquid Seal has won the following prizes. It was the winner of the Venture Solutions Food and Agri in 2019. Liquid Seal has made the top 5 of the Accenture Innovation Awards 2018. The winner of the Dutch Innovation Award category Food and Agro in 2016 and was the finalist of the Rabobank Herman Wijfels Innovation Prize in 2016. The effects of Liquid Seal. How does it work? In Liquid Seal we have created channels, and with these channels we can control the oxygen and the carbon dioxide exchange. This will slow down the metabolism of the fruit, which results in a stronger fruit and a longer shelf life. Next to this we can control the evaporation of water from the fruit. This reduces in a reduction of weight loss, which results in more kilos to sell and also a higher quality fruit. Next we will look at the visual comparison of the post-harvest treatment for avocados. Here you can see clearly the difference between the control group, which has not been treated with Liquid Seal, and the Liquid Seal group. you can clearly see the difference that the control group has started browning and the liquid seal group is still of high quality. On this slide we will take a look at the visual comparison of our coating for limes. On the right side you can see a time-lapse video where you can see the differences between the control group and the liquid seal group on the right. You can clearly see the differences that on the left side in the control group the browning of the fruits will happen much sooner than on the right side with the liquid seal group. On this slide we take a look at the visual comparison for our coating for papaya. On the right side you can see a comparison between the control group and the liquid seal group taken from a test done for seed transport from Colombia to the Netherlands. The fruits, this was 29 days after harvesting. On the left side you can see an example of how to apply the coating. This is dipping. Spraying is also a possibility. Here we take a look at mango. This is also a time-lapse video. The right group is treated with liquid seal, the left group is a control group. You can clearly see the control group is browning much faster than the liquid seal group. If you look closely you can also see quite some difference in the weight loss as well. Liquid seal offers benefits for every player in the supply chain. From field to fork, the fruits are protected. We offer better control of infections. We can maintain product quality throughout the supply chain. We can reduce product losses. Due to that the fruits will be fresh for a longer period, you can reach new markets, further markets. We can extend the moment of sale of the fruit. You can choose for more environmentally friendly transportation ways. Think of using sea transport instead of air transport. We can extend the shelf life and improve the taste and appearance of the fruit. Next to that, we also offer opportunities. What is possible? Using liquid seal, you can reduce the wastage. We can offer cost reduction in supply chains, reduce the use of chemicals, enlarge the moment of sales, reach new markets, export to zero tolerance countries, and alternative ways of transport. Liquid seal is registered as a packaging product. On this slide we take a quick look at the regulations and certifications. Liquid seal is compliant with all European and American legislations. We are approved by the European Commission, the Dutch Ministry of Health, Welfare and Sport, the FDA, expanded regulatory status for the Japanese and the Chinese market. We also have certifications from the SGS, from Kiva and from Keller and Heckman. Corporate responsibility. Join our fight against food wastage. Liquid seal is a chem-free packaging that reduces product loss, food wastage and the use of chemicals. And we also optimize the use of fertile soil. Liquid Seal Fruits is a stakeholder of Food Waste Free United. This Dutch platform focuses on combating food waste throughout the food chain. This is done by preventing and reducing food wastage as much as possible and by adding value to residual flows. Let's be in contact and calculate your economic benefits. On this slide you can see the contact details of our legal representative in Mexico. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. Thank you for watching.
The world population is growing. The current world population of 7.5 billion people is expected to reach 10 billion by 2050. That's an extra 2.5 billion mouths to feed. Currently, almost a third of food that is produced goes to waste, with fruits and vegetables having the highest wastage rates of any food. To ensure enough food is available, food production will have to increase by 60%. Liquid Seal offers a sustainable and eco-friendly solution for this food shortage problem. Liquid Seal could reduce the current 1.3 billion tons of food wastage by 25 to 40%. Liquid Seal packaging provides a protective layer around individual pieces of fruit. This ultra-thin packaging retains the fruit's quality throughout its entire journey, from field to fork. Everyone in the supply chain benefits from the advantages of Liquid Seal. A biodegradable and life-prolonging packaging makes less environmentally harmful mode of transportation possible. In addition to all these benefits, product quality remains optimal and peak freshness is preserved. Join our fight against food wastage.
And now, to continue with the program, I would like to introduce Koen van Iwaarde, the Senior Advisor Sustainable Business at Nature's Pride. Welcome, Koen.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Koen van Iwaarde. I'm Senior Advisor Sustainable Business at Nature's Pride. And I will be talking about doing good business, about sustainability. Well, the numbers you see here are a little shuffled, but for those of you who don't understand exotic fruits and vegetables, we import fruits and vegetables. We import more than 200. So at Nature's Pride, our vision is to make the world healthier and more sustainable. And our values are passion, pioneer, and together. And you are all companies looking for a market in Europe. And a company like ours or a European client would look for partners that share our values and vision. And I would summarize our vision as good business. Now, what do we understand as good business? Next, please. We believe that good business is the most sustainable way to contribute to a better world. Next. Now, what is sustainability really? It's a term you hear a lot. Yes, please. Next. Yeah, you can continue. Exactly. So sustainability, as the word says in itself, it's the ability to sustain your business. Now, what do you need to sustain your business? Well, you need resources and inputs. Like, for example, you can go on, Karin, I'll talk and you can go on with that. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a little, thank you. You need inputs and resources. So you need natural resources like soil and water, and human resources like labor. Next, please. So when we operate and we use these resources, it means we don't operate in a vacuum. It's a little bit, so like you have an impact on society. Next, please. So it's a bit like the Mexican flag. On the right hand, you have positive impact. Or on the left hand, sorry. Yeah. So you increase value for society by delivering a good product or by providing decent jobs, training and development in communities. But you also reduce value in society because you use several resources, the ones, for example, that are portrayed here. So good business is really about how can we increase the value that we create for society, and how can we reduce the negative impact that we have by using the resources. We can go to the next slide. So very concretely, to us, good business, the word good has a dual significance. It has a commercial significance. Of course, we think in long-term partnerships, fair prices, growing together, investing together, exchanging knowledge. These are the types of things you want to grow as partners. But it also has a social and environmental significance. So you want to do business that is good for the people and good for the environment. We can go to the next slide. So this concept of good business, we have put this in our sustainability plan for 5 years. It's till 2023. And as you can see, it's at the very heart of our sustainability plan. Now we work in 3 pillars: livelihoods, food waste, and environmental impact. And I could walk you through all of the different items that we work on CO2 or packaging or food loss. But I want to highlight today 2 topics, which is healthy lifestyle and responsible water use. So if you look at water, I just mentioned we have an impact on our environment, and you can see this. Transport generates CO2 emissions, nitrogen and phosphorus is of course used in agriculture. We have an impact on water, biodiversity, and land use. Now, if you look at this statistically, next please, then you can see concerning the planetary boundaries that concerning biodiversity and chemical flows, we are already in the red. And if you look at climate change and land change, we are already in orange, yellow or orange. And the same is true for fresh water. You can go on, yeah. Now, if you apply this to Mexico, and we take a look at Mexico from a water perspective, here you see the baseline water stress, which is a measure how much water is available and how much water is currently occupied. Now, as you can see, Jalisco is in the red, so it has a very high risk on baseline water stress. So if you are looking to export to Europe, you can be sure that clients and the public will have questions on how are Mexican exporters individually and as a sector addressing this, and how are you making sure that there is responsible water use. Next, please. Now, a little bit about what we do as a company. We have an elaborate water strategy. You can go online and read about it. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight today is that we trained our buyers, here are just a few of them, in water. So they have been trained during 5 months, understanding the dynamics and the core elements about water management in catchments. Now, this is important to us because water is becoming a buying criterion, just like it is for quality, variety, and delivery. Something that you could do is looking into the new add-on of Global Gap called SPRING, Sustainable Program for Irrigation and Groundwater Use. Next, please. Well, SPRING is an add-on to the regular Global Gap audit, and it's to promote sustainable water management on the farm. It's a risk assessment and it's done annually. It's available for all crops in all countries. You get a letter of conformity and the result is published on the Global Gap database. Benefits of SPRING are that you get independent proof of legal compliance. So if a client asks you, well, are you using your water responsibly? By using SPRING, you could show this. You identify and mitigate risk. It supports your corporate communication. It's designed for the reality in the field, and it's applicable to all producers, crops, and countries. Now, we've run pilots with our growers in Chile and in Peru, and they have been very enthusiastic about this certification. They think that cost and time investment and difficulty are well balanced. They think it's a valuable proof of legality and best practices. It helps them internally to clarify roles and responsibilities, identify opportunities, and they like that it's built on the globally recognized Global Gap audit. So you do the Global Gap audit and the auditor just stays a little longer to look into some of the water topics. Next, please. Now, concerning water, I wanted to mention that there are, of course, a couple of topics that go beyond your farm gates. So you can take care of water on your own farm. What about beyond the farm? Next slide, please. If you go online and you Google water in Jalisco, you get graphics like this. And it appears to show that water in the aquifer of Ciudad Guzman is going under a sustainable level. So as you are going to export to Europe and you want to enter the market and your product is coming from Jalisco, you can expect clients to ask questions about this. Now, this is very difficult to address on your own. Of course, you're only one user of water in the entire aquifer, right? So it's too much detail to talk about this, but I just want to point this out. It would be very helpful to talk in your sector how you're going to coordinate efforts to address water problems beyond your farm gate. Next, please. And just very briefly, same holds for land use. If you go online, you can see this picture appears to show that where avocado production increases, tree cover loss is high. So again, this is not something that you can address as an individual company, but it's important because you will get questions from clients about this. Next, please. So we talked about the human resource, natural resources, and I also mentioned, well, human resources are essential for a business. Now, what's the status of our human resources, our workers, I mean? Just briefly, this graph shows what we're currently eating. And as you can see, globally, and especially also in Northern America, so North America and probably Mexico is pretty similar. You can see this in the next slide as well. People eat a lot of beef, starch, and eggs. One back, please. One moment. Yeah, thank you. And as you can see on the left, this is vegetables, fruits, and legumes. The orange circle is the health boundary. So an ideal diet would be to eat a variety of foods. And you see, we are very high on beef and starch, and very low or too low on fruits and vegetables. Now, this also impacts quality of life of your workers and their families and communities, but also your business. Next, please. Briefly about Mexico, I went online, looked up this data, and you can see that 60% of adults are overweight. So this is also something that really applies to Mexico. Next, please. So something that we are looking at beyond, in our sustainability plan, we of course work on social certification, labor, hours, salary, all these. But this is, I wanted to point out a kind of a more new topic to you, and this is nutrition at work. If you have a healthy workforce, it will contribute to a healthy company and also to a healthy community. Now, 60% of adults spend 1/3 of their lifetime at work. So it's an ideal place to improve nutrition. And you can make small tweaks to the snacks or meals you provide to your workers, and it will have a big impact on the well-being of the workers, but also of the company. We can go to the next slide. So the question is, what meals do your employees eat at work? If we go to the next slide, we'll take a look at the business case. And this has been actually researched, and there are numbers to it. So you reduce absenteeism, you improve morale, you increase productivity and efficiency, you get more loyalty. So there are a number of benefits. We're holding a webinar on this next Wednesday. So in case you would like to know more about this, you can go online and register for this. Next, please. So to wrap up, good business is for us a fundamental piece of how we do business. Essentially, without natural and human resources, our companies could not exist. So if you care for them, is to care for your company. It's really about increasing societal value and reducing negative impact. And we talked about water and nutrition. So in the case of water, you can prove responsible on-farm water management through spring. For challenges, sorry, can we go back 1 second? Yes, please, thanks. For challenges beyond the farm gate, at the catchment level, it is recommended to work at a sector level. Now that holds lots of challenges, but it's good to start a dialogue about that. Same holds for land use. You can be certain that questions will come because water is becoming a very hot item, both for NGOs, for consumers, and also for retail clients. Concerning nutrition, well, a healthy workforce contributes to a healthy company and a healthy community. There's a very clear business case. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit. And we see that with very small changes, you can make a big difference in the quality of life of your workers, and they will be thankful to you for that. This is my last slide. Can we, yeah, a bit more, please? Yeah, you can show it all, it's okay. Thank you. So good business is really about a mindset. Every day you have a choice, right? You can ask yourself, well, who do I want to be as a company? And how do I create value for my workers and community? How do I take care of the people in an environment that enable me to be in business in the first place? And where can I take action as a company? For example, at farm level concerning water, and where is coordination needed at a sector level? It's really about, which unique skills, and every company has unique skills, knowledge, and talents, can I employ to contribute to a better world? And this also reflects on the brand image of your company, of your product, sector, and country. So if we think about an avocado from Mexico, what comes to mind? That's really what it's about. And we know that certain parts of the world have had water challenges or have other issues. And it's very difficult for a company wanting to export to the European market. If you so happen to be in an area that has been challenged in the media, even though you are doing everything right, you might be tainted because the brand image of the product from that region is affected by negative news, even though you have nothing to do with it. So it's really important to work on a company level, sector level, and maybe even a region level. And this is how it will be perceived in the market. I think there's one more sentence. So I think, hopefully I very briefly gave you a few thoughts, but if you want to enter the European market, you are very well aware that you will be competing with the rest of the world that wants to enter this market. So it's really an essential feature to distinguish yourself in this market. So that's the last slide. I think we have, one more slide. And that's it.
Hi everyone, this is Guillermo Ortega. I am in charge of business developing for Action Trade Services. We are one of the few companies in Mexico that speaks a full language in cargo handling. We are always one step ahead. I have more than 15 years in experience on the field and 11 years working for Action. My experience now is focused on the handling of perishable cargo, from the cutting of the product in the orchard to the delivery at final destination port. I am also well experienced on oversized and hazard cargo. Keep moving, this is our motto. We maintain a well-developed lesson learned from the past and the current projects. From the transportation needs in Mexico through the complex routes, saturated with specific products that imply a great challenge. Being a key link in the supply chain, we focus on seeing possible risks in advance and solve them from the planning to the delivery. Our main vision has been with the philosophy of thinking as a client. In this sense, we work best based on the cost, projection, and management. At the end, we become allies and we work as one with our clients. We bridge the gap with any project, and we feel so proud that our clients that succeed thanks to the teamwork. Knowing about cargo handling is an art, and not everyone knows how to do it well. We trust so much in our know-how, and we are fortunate to be top suppliers of companies like Eosta, Eurofresh, Organto, Lenovo, Goodyear, Ford Motor Company, General Motors, among many others. Thank you very much.
Thank you again for joining us today. We really hope that you enjoyed today's conferences, despite of the technical difficulties that we were facing. We do always try to prepare as best we can, but some unforeseen things can always happen, unfortunately. So apologies again. I would like to give a big thanks to all of our speakers from today, Astrid Astillon, Jorge Narváez, Lia Beinsdorp, and Koen van Iwaarde for your valuable contributions. I'm sure that our audience will be happy to be in touch with you for further explanations and opinions from your side. The program will now continue with the one-to-one matchmaking sessions. So in case I do not see you anymore, thank you so much for participating in this virtual event, and we hope it is meeting your expectations. If you need any assistance with doing business in Mexico or the Netherlands, please feel free to reach out to Holland House Mexico or UPM. We are here to help you. A big thank you to everyone involved in the organization and/or execution of this program. Particularly thank you to the Dutch, Mexican, and Guatemalan embassies for their support, and the local industry organizations of fruits in Mexico. Enjoy the rest of your day, and for now, hasta pronto.